Scale, exit, repeat. What happens when AI can replace your staff, AI agents? I've been working a lot with AI agents this week, and it's going to be an interesting show. Having an agentic mindset, something that is new to myself, and probably many of you haven't thought about how to have an agentic. That we've had the AI mindset. We've talked a lot about that, but this is a different equation. This is about having an agentic mindset. We've got Michael Gilmour, our co-host, and he is coming in from Australia. Very welcome, Michael. What do you think of this topic?
Yeah, look, Colin, it's great to be here once again, the complete entrepreneur. I can't believe that it was just 1 week ago we're here. It seems like the days just fly by at the moment. There's so much happening in my business anyway. And to be on the complete entrepreneur, when we're talking about what it means to lead the life of an entrepreneur, not just all the mechanics of an entrepreneur, is a really interesting scenario. I love exploring this, love entrepreneurs, Colin, and can't wait to take a look at this topic. What happens when AI agents can replace your staff? Now, that's going to be an interesting question. We've just done staff reviews this past week, annual reviews, and it's going to be an interesting one there. But I noticed that Michelle's come and join us today. So, Michelle, it's fantastic to see you here on the Complete
Thank you so much, Michael, from Down Under. It's great to be here.
It's still dark outside here. It's early in the morning.
7, my friend, 365.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting that when I saw this topic and I began thinking about it, I was reflecting on the fact that in the annual reviews, I was talking to my different team members and to say, what do you really want to get into? And about 90% of them said, we just got to just leap in hands and fists into AI. And we already do stuff with AI. They said, we've got to go along and scale. This is developers telling me, scale our development team with AI. We need to have the AI review all our code, review all our data. We've got to have AI do all these different things. And they were excited by it. And I thought, wow, this is pretty cool. What a great team, by the way. And the question I then thought was, am I scaling the AI agents? And that's going to be great because, like you said, they're not going to stop. They'll be working 24 hours a day. Does that mean I don't have to employ other people? So if I just massively reduce my cost base and my existing team is like barreling down this path and saying, we just got to do this. And it's really quite interesting. Colin, is that a new feature of
Michelle, you posted that, right? To do a poll. But
yes, I did. I just did a poll. And I'm trying to invite everyone to the stage. So, you know what? It's an open session here. So just raise your hand if we haven't invited you. We want everybody involved. This is about the club and it is about the members. But I'll let you go ahead and answer.
I don't know how you're doing polls, Michelle. That's interesting. So I deleted the poll because the poll had it said, I don't use AI agents, and I am not using AI agents.
I said a poll. Are you using AI agents? I want people.
I know, but it said, are you using AI agents? So that's why I deleted it. So
them, and I'll put one back up here because.
Yeah, right. I just thought to fix it for you. All right. Sounds good. Thank you for that. If you could show us how to do that so we can learn how to do that as well.
Yeah, it's interesting that I try to answer the question. I say, yes, I do.
Exactly.
And my wife is a operating theater nurse. She's an operating theater with the doctors, surgeons, all that sort of stuff. So we have interesting dinner conversations, put it that way. But she sometimes has to work on the weekend, that sort of thing. And during those times, across the last few years, I've just been like full on into developing AI agents and stuff like that. And we had a problem. To give an example, we had a problem where we had to respond in a timely fashion to support tickets and things like that for our hosting company that we were working with. And I thought, hey, this is just going to be an ideal job for an agent. because the team was saying, oh, it could be a Sunday and we got to respond straight away on a Sunday. And we're like, I'm with my family and stuff like that. I don't want to respond to this. So I thought, okay, let me see if I can build something. And I use a little application called N8N. If you don't know, go to n8n.io.
Love it.
And
It's the best.
it is absolutely brilliant. And I had to go along, suck in through an API call. And it was so easy to do, saying, give me all of the latest tickets. If they looked at all the tickets, categorize them. These are legal related ones. These are technical ones. Email that the relevant team members, say, okay, you got to deal with this, you got to deal with that. And then responded to all the tickets, say, got that, we're on to this, we're working on it. And it was like, it just solved the problem. And it just ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it was so good. I then said, oh my gosh, N8N, like, where have you been all my life? And I then said, okay, I want to go and categorize every single domain. We manage millions of domain names in my business. And I want to categorize every single domain name based upon historical data. And I thought, this is an ideal job for an AI. I went to N8N, quickly built a system, and next thing, all our domains are categorized. It was just, it was phenomenal. And that just ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Any new domains that came in just went, whoop, I'm going to categorize that one. And so now we're building our own AI internally that we can throw our data at. We have literally petabytes of data. And so we're building our own AI internally. And then we're having our own, Michelle, if you've been using n8n.io, we're actually, because it's open source, we're actually going to have our own N8N internally behind our firewalls and stuff like that. And we're just going to be creating one agent after another agent. I can pick up my phone now, just talk to my phone and say, hey, can you make an appointment with us at this time and make sure that it's all okay with their own schedule? And it goes ahead and does it for me. It's just, there are so many things. I'm calling up Starlink last night with my wife. And I called them up because I'm inquiring about getting a Starlink dish. And I'm talking to an AI. Doesn't sound like, hello, how are you today? It doesn't sound like that. It's like talking to a person. And I was asking all the different questions and like that. And it's just answering to me as if it's a normal person. And I was purposely trying to push this thing around. And every time it found the answer and brought it back to, and would you like to sign up now? I can continue the process if you like. It was the best salesperson I've ever met. Just kept on bringing it back just to the sales thing. And I got off the call and I said to my wife, I said, we've got to do this. We got to set up. So rather than having a team member actually do all of the onboarding and that sort of stuff, we can just have an AI do it for clients.
By the way, I'm just curious here. Is this like people that are sending you emails in this use case, Michael?
Yeah, it's emails and also online where they're doing a contact form. There's
okay, here's where I think things really get interesting, Michael.
Yes.
What I don't like is people just using AI, I'll say temporarily, where it's just a response and that's it, no go. But it could actually write that contact and that interaction into a little database and the memory and the content management system, whatever it is. Then we're talking. That's
what you got to do.
That's the memory. The memory is what it's about. Yep. This temporal stuff is not interesting at all to me. It's very transitional. It's like, how do you take it and really leverage it into the business? What are your thoughts?
But more than that, Michelle, it's like, I remember that I had a conversation with you 2 months ago about this topic. And I noticed in that CRM system, you didn't proceed with it. I'm going to contact you. This is the AI saying this. I'm going to contact that person and say, is there anything we can do to help you out to get you on board? And you can have a system do this and reach out to the person. Would you like Would I like to connect you with a human? Or would I like to connect one of the sales team that can assist you in this process? There's so many things you can do with it. But you're right, it's going to have the memory at the back end.
Yes.
And if you lobotomize, I describe search, the old Google search. I call it the old Google search. In type of way you search for something, and every time you search, it lobotomizes itself. It drives me crazy. Yeah, but when I'm interacting with
It's insane, and I can't stand it. It's so annoying.
Yeah, it is. When I'm interacting with an AI, it's a conversation. And now that the AI, I use AI so much that it now knows me. It knows that I'm the CEO of parklogic.com. It knows about the company. It knows about me personally. It then, when I ask it questions now, it puts in the context of my background. It knows the sort of things I prefer to have versus not prefer to have. It's I feel like saying to myself, if you've ever read the series of sci-fi fantasy books by Tad Williams called The Land, and there's this little robot this disabled kid had. It was called a Beazle. And this Beazle, the robot sort of thing that ran around the floor, knew him better than his parents knew him, and would help him out, do all sorts of fun things.
Right. I love it.
It's a great, and it was written back in the early, let me think, actually about the mid-90s, 1990s.
Right.
And it was a full taste of what we're experiencing now. We may not have little robot running around yet.
Like, it's so interesting.
But the AI is amazing. Yeah, there is an aspect of the Jurassic Park, though, and use more movie metaphors, is we got so excited that we didn't ask whether we should. And there's that other side of all of this as well, because what happens when you say to yourself, oh, I actually don't need staff anymore. I don't need them.
But you do.
But the thing is, though, is it makes you wonder this. I can't remember, someone said, it's not going to be long before the next $1 billion company only has one employee, and that's the founder. But they may have 1,000 agents. So that is going to be really interesting. And that's why I think entrepreneurs right now are at the cusp of, actually, they're not at the cusp. We're actually charging headlong into the most amazing revolution that is absolutely phenomenal revolution. And it's really interesting seeing this poll right here. For the 25% as using AI, like you mentioned, well, I don't need it. Yeah. It's phenomenal. But Colin, you've been silent there. I know you're pretty passionate about this.
Yes, I am very passionate about this, Michael. And we're talking about agents too, right?
Yeah.
So agents is a little bit different than
agentic stuff,
than AI. So we're not just talking about AI right now. We're talking about agentic accounting. We're talking about agents that can take over daily tasks, monthly tasks. Today,
it's an agent.
That's agents. Yeah, agentics.
Sorry?
Yeah, we're agreeing.
So we're just commenting and agreeing with you.
Yeah, okay. So like agentic accounting is, let's just focus on that for a minute, because I had a few, let's call them controversial conversations with some of the accountants in our operations here. And the reality is that we can do almost everything that's being done by humans when it comes to bookkeeping and automate those things. Now, the problem I've had in my past is I got to rely on programmers and I had to rely on other people. But guess what? Nope, that's going away. With AI, if you know how to type and talk to someone, then you know how to type and talk to an AI to create an agent. ChatGPT just added agents. Claude has agents, and there's also OpenClaw as well. There's a lot of different options you can use here to create agents. But let me be very clear. This is not something that is just for the geeks. This is something that, as an entrepreneur, if you know exactly what you want done, you can describe that in words to your AI. And it's becoming easier and easier to do. And we're spending a lot of money as entrepreneurs on accountants and lawyers. And now we're in a new age, a new time, a new period where we can operate much more efficiently and do way more. Because quite frankly, there are a lot of things in business that can hold us back, that sort of take away from the profits that we make. A small business can't afford a $100,000 a year CFO, but we can afford a $20 a month ChatGPT account, and it can provide us 80 to 90% of what that CFO would provide us. We just have to know how to interact with it. Now, the question becomes with AI agents, is that something that, like, how do we as entrepreneurs think about that? I know I'm very excited about it because it's all about becoming more efficient, more profitable, so that I can do more businesses and then actually continue to hire my consultants, continue to hire my bookkeeper, to continue to hire my lawyers. If I can do things with more through AI and make more money, then I'll actually hire them more. But what I've been experiencing is resistance from employees, resistance from consultants, resistance from lawyers who are like, oh, you can't do that, or you shouldn't do that, or it's going to hallucinate, or this. I'm telling you, it's getting very good. And the consultants and the lawyers and the accountants who do not embrace these agents and this agentic accounting or the AIs, I'm telling you right now, they're going to be replaced, because I'm going to replace them with lawyers who are going to be embracing AI, with accountants who are going to. I shouldn't have to create the AI agents, the bookkeeping agents that are necessary to run my books. I should have to do that. My bookkeeper should do that. My accountant should do that. The reality is we live in a different time. And I think that I'm actually quite excited because I think that the people around me are starting to understand this. And this is leading edge. I know we have a poll right now that says 70% of you are using agents. And that's because you're on Clubhouse. That's because you're connected. That's because you
73.
understand. 73%. You're connected. But that being said, I know the fact is 1% of the population are using agents right now. This is something that is going to blow up.
We're dealing with a very evolved population here as our club members. And again, thank you, club members, for attending this session. And we want you to come to the stage. Honestly, I'm begging you to come to the stage because this conversation is only better and informative for all of us if you jump on stage. There's no judgment, and everyone here has information, experiences to add. And we're going to let Colin finish his little talk, and then we're going to get to Spitfire and Doc Clifton. So thank you for hanging in there,
I think
guys.
I'm done. I got it. I think I made my point. It's like you either get on the agentic wagon or get off my wagon.
Yeah. All right. So we got Spitfire. Mr. Spitfire, if you're available, tell us what you're thinking on this subject. It's a little bit like controversial, and I've got Pierre coming up on the stage, but we need your input here. What are you feeling? What are you experiencing? And are you using AI agents? About them, guys. You have no idea. I'm not kidding you. I'm not against it. He's let it take over. And I'm like, okay, one step at a time here, people. I don't want to reap chaos. I know he doesn't either, but he's so excited about it. And I'm so excited about it. I just want it to work and I want it to be a positive experience. So Spitfire, what's on your mind, my friend? You're here. Go for it.
I'm not utilizing agents to that aspect yet, but I'm still using AI to its most fullest potential so that it can, lighten my load. And people have been given a lot of resistance because for some reason they've been taught that it's going to take over and destroy, but
maybe they haven't even been taught Spitfire. They don't know. It's very effing scary, right?
Yeah, because
we all want to do our job
I don't
well.
know it, no one else should know it. is kind of like the consensus people have. I don't want to be around something that's smarter than me or that has, because they don't say it's smarter, that contains more information than
Okay,
me.
that's an interesting
It's-
point of view. For me, I don't care if something knows more than me. Actually, I want it to know more than me, but I don't want it to be wrong. Because I'm the
Don't you
boss
say
of it. I'm the boss of it, Spitfire. Wait, are you the
Well,
boss
you're
of
the
it?
boss when
Yeah,
you give
well,
it the proper information. See, that's what you do with the agents. You condense the proper information you want it to operate off of. So it's not just going to operate willy-nilly doing whatever it wants. It's going to hone in to your specific genre or niche, what it is that you do, and assist you in being better in doing that.
Yeah, look,
Yeah.
I'm of the view there, Michelle and Spitfire, that if you're the smartest person in the room, then you should leave the room. Yeah, I loved having thinking really challenged and everything like that. And the thing I'm finding more and more on the AI side, and then we got to migrate to the agentic sort of side of this, is the fact that I'm not the smartest person in the room, and I find the conversations actually really quite engaging, and it's getting better and better at the conversations. Now, you can do some funny things such as, how are you feeling today? And the AI goes, I can't respond to my feelings. I'm an agent. I'm a AI. But that gets you nowhere. To me, the thing that Colin was suggesting was the whole issue around lawyers and accountants and everything like that. I had dinner with my CFO, who's an outsourced CFO we pay a lot of money to. And I said to him, look, let's cut to the chase here. If let's imagine we paid him 10 grand. And I said, in the past, six of the grand, 10, out of the 10 grand per month, six of it went to the bookkeeping, all that sort of stuff. And we have some very complex side with multi-currencies and everything. And 4 grand went to CFO type work. I said, now it should be 1 to 2 grand on bookkeeping and making sure I'm not in jail, I'm doing the right thing by the government and paying my taxes. And it should be $8,000 a month of, how am I going to help you grow your company? Let's take a look at pricing. Let's do analysis of price elasticity. Let's run these tests. Let's do this. And that's the role of a proper CFO, and taking a look at these things. I said, if you can't do that, and if you continue to try to charge 60% of it just for the meat and potatoes, then I'm going to be going elsewhere. I said, you've got to restructure your entire business, and you've got to do it now. And he was sitting there like shocked.
I know this is a hard conversation, Michael.
It's a tough conversation.
It's a
I
tough
had this tough
conversation. And I'm personally struggling with it, and it's, quite frankly, depressing me a little bit. Okay. But I'm just like, how do we transition to that? And I am going to tell you, and no one can convince me differently, that us folks here, especially in this club, who are all seasoned people, is that we are the boss of it, is what I like to say. But it's only as good as we are right.
You there, Michelle?
Sorry, you are a data guy, and I've known you a long time. It's garbage in, garbage out. This is not just set and go and, oh my God, we don't have to do anything and we're going to go on a cruise ship and have fun and party with our wife and all this shit. It is still, we still have to be involved. To me, this is like, how do I take myself? How do I take my team to the next level? This is really irking me off a little bit when people think that it's like let's just fire everybody. Okay?
Yeah,
I'm getting
I
back
get what
to
you're
the
saying.
subject here. I'm getting back to the subject.
I get you said. Give an example. This is not using agents necessarily, but like whenever I get a contract or something like that in front of me, the first thing I ask is, from the perspective of my company, what's the different issues of the contract? And it highlights, the AI will highlight and say, hey, okay, change these clauses, whatever, and everything like that. And I always say, look, I want to make sure it's balanced. So if we have intellectual property clauses, make sure it's protection for both parties, not one party, all this sort of stuff. And so I get it to go ahead and do all that. And I go through it. I'm thinking, I used to give this to a lawyer. But then one day, and I read every clause, and I was reading one clause one time that it said that I should put in. And basically, what it said was, I've just sold my business to this company for $1. It was just ludicrous. So you still have to have the experience of actually going and reading it and understanding what the clauses were. For those people that go along and say, here's my contract, change it to me like this, and away you go. You're insane. You've got to read it because sometimes the AI just gets it wrong. And in this example, it got it
Absolutely.
wrong.
And you have to
So
beat it up.
But
You
here's the
gotta
problem,
beat
though.
it up,
But
Michael.
yeah, you got to beat it up.
And I
Here's the
feel
problem,
like I'm going to tell you something. Let me just say this. I said to our team here in Fort Lauderdale Startup Club, I said, oh my gosh, if AI quote machines are coming back or whatever, or being sanctioned, am I saying that word correctly?
Sanctioned.
Sorry, I shouldn't say, I'm trying not to curse. I'm the first one that's going to die because I am so mean to it. I'll be like, how could you make this mistake? How could you be so wrong? And one of the folks here, Kyle, actually, who you've met, Michael, he's, oh my gosh,
Yep.
Michelle, he goes, I'm so nice to it because I don't want to die and I don't want the machines to kill me. I'm like, oh, I'm the first one to die. I'm so brutal. But I think it is not a person, AI quote, and we have to really exercise and I don't think it gets better with our critical feedback. I don't know if that's the word, but we have to really feed into the model.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Michelle, I completely agree with you. We'll come down to Dot's listed in a second here. The thing I worry about the most with all of this is not you, Colin, myself, and many other people in this room who have gained a lot of experience over a lot of years. Dare say the years of hard knocks of being an entrepreneur and all that sort of stuff. The thing I worry about is the 20-year-old. The 20-year-old who looks to the future and says, I just spent, or the 20th, 40-year-old or whatever it is, I've just spent the last, I don't know how many years training up to become an accountant or a lawyer, and I have no future. There is nothing because there's a huge gap of the meat and potato stuff is now going to be done by AI. So how do they gain the experience so that they get to the other end and they can be a CFO?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great
can't.
subject, Michael. That is a great subject. And this is one of my fears. Like, how do we keep I'm going to say in my very simplistic Michelle language, how do we keep our brains from rotting? That's one of my fears, right? And Michael, you have young children, you have grandchildren. We don't want them not experience things and have to use their brains. So that's a whole subject. My brain's going to explode right now just thinking about it. But Michael, we have two people on the stage
let's go to
here.
Don Clifton.
I know, and they've been so patient. Doc Clifton, yes. Go for it, Doc Clifton. What is on your mind, our friend?
Hey, I am literally at the Lobster Bar right now, but in terms of
I
Agentic
love
replacing
that
us,
place in
the
Fort
Lobster Bar is
Lauderdale.
awesome. Fort Lauderdale, yeah, of course. You gotta look at my messages. I just DM you. I'm gonna step back. So you have a new room over here, but you have a room to run. So I've been partnering with a neurogenomics lab out of Imperial, and we're looking on ways to have AI accelerate science. A big part of this is going to be Agentic. Will Agentic replace my staff and my team? It will not. But at some point, we have to be the ones that are in control of the robots. We have to write our own frameworks, and we have to understand what we're really looking for and how we're going to control them. And we have to learn a lot. I am going to go back to the bar, but I have a lot of really strong opinions on this. I'll pop myself off stage, but we will have to get together in person soon.
Clifton, I'm so happy you joined us, and I'm looking forward to meeting up with you soon.
Very soon. You guys are the best.
You as well. All right, awesome.
Awesome. Let's jump to Pierre there. Pierre, thank you for being so patient. Love to get your thoughts on this topic.
Hey, everyone. Good evening. A couple of things I want to share. I hope you can hear me okay. I think we still have a lot of challenges in front about AI that are not being addressed. Every time that we have these conversations of AI is going to replace someone, the problem I have with that is that AI agents right now, the big story is context engineering, it's context. And an even hotter story is the idea of loops. Having, when you actually create the programming, thinking about the iterations that you're trying to get these agents to do. That eats up tokens. And I think for the average business owner, I think they're over romanticizing the efficiency just a tad bit when they jump to replacing people, because they haven't really mapped out what's the outcomes that you want these agents to do within your organization.
Okay.
What is the expense that you're going to go through to do that? And then with every technology, there's always a little bit of transition in there. I think people yes, the AI is indeed much more capable. I use it for writing, frankly. But that, I think, like everybody else, that sort of usage it's almost like purchasing it's very lightweight. It's not really getting into the context. They are still learning how to do that. So I'm kind of with Michelle a little bit on this.
All right, Pierre,
Yeah.
you and I are thinking out the same brain. Seriously? I it's not that I don't like it or don't want to do it. I'm just saying, let's just plan it and think about how we implement it. And I run a small business. And I'm telling you, if this is really going to, quote, take root, especially for larger business, you need a whole framework. I actually just came off of a course. I'm not trying to sound fancy, and I'm not a fancy girl, but I just came off of a Harvard course where it was an intensive implementing AI, specifically Agentics, into businesses, but it was obviously geared for large businesses. And I totally resonate with it. And Michael, I know you would. I'm hoping that you and I can catch up soon because they had a whole framework. And I want to do it. I wanted to help all of us and help us make smarter decisions. Because what I truly believe is that we could move our businesses to the next level, but we cannot just turn this on blindly. And I feel like I'm sounding so corporate, and I'm really not, but I am very team oriented. I'm not corporate, I'm culture oriented, Michael. Okay.
Yeah, look,
You know,
I think, Michelle, you're raising some interesting things here. And I think one of the things agents are going to do is not replace good people. What they'll do is they'll augment good people. That's what they're going to do. And so they'll assist the business and I call it the meat and potato side of the business and all that sort of stuff. And it'll provide some insights and everything like that. But there's something inherently valuable about the creative spark of the individual. And what it's going to do is those people who, dare I say, are less inclined to express that creative spark and everything like that, they're going to be on the scrap heap. They really are. And they're going to find themselves without jobs because they'll be replaced by agents. But those people that are saying they're prepared to go along and break out of the box and realize they just got the best tool they've ever seen to be able to really develop as individuals and really develop in the business, the context, and their career and all that sort of stuff, I think they're just going to go to the moon. I really do. And there's going to be a case of the haves and the have-nots. But the difference between the haves and have-nots is a mentality shift. It's not because I've got a lack of skills, because it's not a skills issue.
absolutely.
It's not a skills issue. Yeah, the skills with the AI agents, all that sort of stuff, they're going to provide the skills. It's the mentality of the individual. This is what the Complete Entrepreneur Show is all about. It's the mentality of the entrepreneur. It's the mentality of your team. And I say this to my team, a team of developers I've got. I've said to them, development's done. It really is, except for the top, say, 10%. Largely, it can be done much quicker and everything with AI and all that sort of stuff. So the top 10%, no, it still needs to be done by humans. I said, if you want to go along and keep on this space, so you use AI as a resource, in as a part of your developmental process and be into that elite top 10%, then you're going to learn a few different other skills. You're going to learn how to manage your time.
Michael,
Communicate.
for me, the way I think about it and feel about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, finally, I'm an analytical person, not like overly analytical, but I've always felt, oh my gosh, if I could just do this or know this, or I had access to this data or this, like, just like the view into the business or the market, I could do so much more. I'm just like, oh my gosh. And I'm 60 something years old. I'm like, I finally can do this instead of having to beg IT or this or that or pay tens of thousands of dollars to have this access. For me, it's very like liberating.
Oh, it
And
is.
also
It
it's
is totally
pressure.
liberating.
It's a lot of
Well,
pressure too, because I'm like, oh my gosh, am I not doing this fast enough? I have severe AI anxiety. That's like a real thing. Honestly, I'm like, I can't. How do I like? Oh my gosh, I'm not doing this fast enough, and I'm not knowing, and I'm not quite trusting. I want it validated and verified. I'm just going to trust this. There's a lot of responsibility, right? There's a lot of responsibility that goes along with that, which I think is what Pierre was saying. And I totally agree with you, Pierre. We want to use it, but I want to use it in a responsible way. And I want everyone to benefit from it.
I think that's the part that people are learning how to do it, like what the specifics are. Because I think there's some things that for an AI model, they're very capable on certain tasks that we can trust. But then there's other tasks which do need to be verified. When I write, for example, I have a project folder in my Claude, which I think is a terrific feature. You can set aside
It's an awesome feature.
yeah, you can set aside instructions and add files, and it's treated as a cache. So each time that I prompt, it has to go to that cache, look at those files, and then come up with a solution or output that I want. And it saves me time for verifying certain things. But here's the catch though. When I write, I still find that sometimes but you have to keep in mind the model still can be flat and I still need to go through it just to make sure that it's reading through correctly. Sometimes there were explanations that weren't in the original draft, and what I do is I actually go back through the model and make the request for it to add that in. So there are opportunities, I think, to reduce the anxiety through understanding, going back to context engineering, understanding the context that you want the model to take on task, decide which tasks might really be easier. Because let's face it, there's some things programming wise a computer can do a little bit better. But at the same time, when it comes to the overall output, there still needs to be some, and this is where I push back a little bit about we need to replace people and what have you. There's still output that needs guidance. The whole bit about, there was a guy from, I can't remember the gentleman's name, but I think he was the one that founded OpenClaw. He made a quick tweet a couple of days ago about loops and this idea that we need to train programmers to loop. There's going to be some tactics that will be a little different than what we've used to before. But at the same time, you need to have people still orchestrate. I don't think it's going to be a clean cut drop people immediately. And it should not be. It really shouldn't. You need those people to help you plan at least the context and then make some decisions on, how do we reduce? If we need to reduce our team, fine. But there still needs to be somebody helping on the orchestration. And I would further add, if it's something about programming, whether it's Python, R, or some sort of language, you need some familiarity with that language to at least ask questions on what the model is producing, because there's still some inaccuracy that can come up. You just need to be ready in that vein. I think collectively we're still trying to figure out how to do that. And then when you throw in the whole bit about token costs, I think for a business, there's worry about how do I get this done? Some of them are a little bit worried. So I just want to say that.
No, everything you're saying, Pierre, my write-outs, I don't know how it's hard to dispute that, but I do feel that we are still the human in the loop and we are the boss. And I'm staying with that. Maybe that's what people are afraid of, that we will lose. But for me, I want to take charge of it and use it as a effing tool, my friends, to make money. We are here to make money. And I keep thinking about Star Trek. And I think I don't know, just like, let's master it for our own advantage.
Yeah. Michelle, the thing I say to my team is there's the three things you need to actually develop as individuals in this sort of mad AI arms race in some ways. The first one is time management. How do you manage yourself? How do you manage yourself? Second thing is project management. How do you manage a project? And the third one, which is the most important, is problem solving. One of the things I do know is an AI doesn't say, I've been looking at your business, I've got a great idea. I think you need to solve this problem in this sort of way. No, you've got to prompt it still. There's still that interaction. Now, agents could be starting to change that. But problem solving is an interesting one. This is why I say that there's the unique human creative spark, that aha moment where you go, I've got the solution. And I'll never forget, I was at the Qantas Club at the airport, and I was talking at the time to my COO, who's no longer with us, by the way, COO, and he was explaining to me in no uncertain terms why we couldn't do a particular deal. It's $1 million deal. He said, I just can't do that. And I was with a colleague of mine, and he said he watched my face go white and then go red. And I just said goodbye to this COO. And I put my head down and I really thought, this is where the unique human experience. By the time I'd walked from the Qantas Club to my gate, I got to my gate, I was dead silent the whole way. And I turned to my colleague and I said, I've got the answer. To this day, we've had that client. And that was like 5 years ago or something like that. And sometimes you just need that, it's that creative spark, which I keep on saying is uniquely human. And as individuals, we need to hone our skills. We need to do a lot more thinking. And I'm drumming it into particularly my tech team more and more. I say less haste gives a better result. Don't jump onto your keyboard and start coding. AI has already done it. I want you to go along and map out what is the problem you're trying to solve, and understand the problem. And when you understand the problem, the coding is easy. That's the easy bit. But understand the guts of the problem. So those three things are really important. So when we have a retreat or something like that with the team, they're the three things I'm training them in continuously, because I'm trying to gear them up for the world where agents are going to be doing the majority of their job, but it's the value that the human can bring is going to transform the agents as well, and vice versa. I view it as not as a parasitic relationship, but a symbiotic relationship between agents and the human. And this is where it gets really exciting. And sure, we can build different agents in NA to N, and we can do all sorts of fun things with it. And that is absolutely true. You can do that now. But the question is, where in this agentic flow are you allowing the human spark to influence the outcome? And I see people getting all excited because they're creating their workflows and processes and everything like that, these systems. But the question you should always be asking is, where is that human intuition going to come in? How is it going to influence the agent's decision making? Because the agents don't have that yet.
Because you're the boss, Michael, right? We are the boss. That's what I keep telling my team. We're the boss.
Yeah.
And it's only as good as we are. Honestly, it's just enhancing us.
Yeah, but when you build the workflow, Michelle, and whatever that workflow is, where is the input which is going to provide the intuitive leap? Because the agents aren't going to do it. They're not going to do it. And this is where I come back to, that's the unique human spark, that aha moment, that point where you can go along and provide that insight the agent will never, ever see. Where is that in the workflow? So when you're designing your agents and things like that, whatever they may be, I would try to design them. Where's the input from the human? And that's where the value, when you look at your team, wherever business you're in, or whatever business you're running, when you look at your team, you got to look at it in that mindset. You've got a bunch of people there that can be taken to the next level with agentic systems and things like that. But they have a core competency just because they're human. Just because they're human. And by being human, they can actually be elevated to it. It's such a further place than what they already are. And how do you go along, combine it, and turn it into, instead of parasitic relationship, turn it into a symbiotic one? But Colin, we haven't heard from you for a while in this whole sort of this.
I know we're not used to not
Which
hearing
is so
from Colin.
unusual.
What's up?
My agents are already working on replacing you too, so don't worry about that.
That's it.
No, I'm keeping. But okay, so I've been listening a lot today, and I love Pierre. Thank you for coming on and sharing as well. And Michelle, you always have some very good wisdom, and I think we're all right and we're all wrong. Like I understand that what we need to do here is we have to have the human, the creative mind. What agents really do is they take repetitive tasks and eliminate them. And that at least
Yeah.
is the ability and power of those creative minds. And even now, a lot of people we talk to, lawyers and accountants, and again, I had some issues with some lawyers and accountants last week, especially the lawyer who really got upset at me when I told them that we don't need your help with PPM. I had to put a memorandum. By the way, it cost me 20 grand 12 years ago. For the new company, it cost me 5 hours, and ChatGPT, by the way, Fable 5 was absolutely incredible. I am telling you, it is a game changer. It is another level up. You probably don't have that in Australia yet, but that is the new Claude AI, and it is absolutely, it blew away ChatGPT. Just blew it away. I was just so impressed on what it could. And we're talking about, I might have burned $20 in credits, maybe $30 in AI credits to take this PPM, this private placement memorandum, and step it up to another level. But I put in 12 contracts, 12 documents that are with this offering that we're launching. And I had all those documents read by Fable 5 Claude and going into, and then being consolidated and updating the PPM and all this stuff. Look, here's the issue I have with the accountants and the lawyers and the consultants and everyone out there, the Amazon people. We talked about this, Michelle, about Amazon on paw.com and the consultants, is that they're not using AI. And when they do use AI, they still charge the amount of money. I'm okay with the consultant that, you know what? I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut my fees down by 80%, but I'll take a percentage of revenue if I can put AI agents together that can make you more money. I'm okay with that. We're the entrepreneur, and we need to survive. First of all, it is a very competitive world, very low margins in e-commerce, very low margins in every business. And the only way we're really going to survive is that we can automate most of the tasks in our business, which means most of the jobs of the repetitive bookkeepers will be lost. Yes, they will lose their jobs. However, there will be a select few who embrace that and take on clients and they promote the idea or concept of AI agents. Who do you think is the best person to put in place agentic accounting? It's your accountant. It shouldn't be you, the entrepreneur, having to sit down and do it. It's your accountant. They're the geniuses, the smart ones. And when they do it for you, they can do it for others. We're heading for a very different period, a very different time, a very different age. And you want to succeed in this age as one of these consultants, then what you need to do is embrace AI more so than the entrepreneur. But I'm telling you this, the entrepreneur is embracing it, and you're going to be eliminated. You are going to lose your contract. You're going to lose your job because you can automate bookkeeping now, you can use AI to write legal contracts and do legal documents. But if you're a lawyer, let me give you an example here. If you're doing a litigation, the average litigation is about $500,000 in the U.S. If a lawyer embraces AI, the litigation is $50,000. That means you can sue 10 times many people, and the lawyer still makes. By the way, that probably will happen. That will probably happen,
Yeah.
Michael. America.
Yeah, I agree.
But that's my point. We either change or don't change. But the world's changed. Period. So I know you want to map it out, Michelle, and I know you want a human in the loop, and I know you want a process, a Harvard-driven process. But you know what? I just jumped into it. My son did a lead generation AI agent this week. Oh, just go to Google the Google alert. Great. Take the Google alert, and when you get every day, I want you to take it from my email, and I want you to find out who behind this announcement was about where expansion in Ontario. Who is behind it, and how can I email them? And if I can't email them, what's their LinkedIn connection?
I don't think you're listening.
Hold on, let me finish. I want you to write the email, and I want you to write the LinkedIn connection, LinkedIn thing. It's got to be a real human type. And I want you to send it. I want you to do that daily, and I'll monitor it.
And that is awesome. That is an augmentation and making us better, actually, is better than that. My point is, I am saying, getting back to our subject here today, on Michael Gilmour's session here, is how do we replace our staff? I'm saying, let's just have some checks and balances, and we are going to do it and make our staff better. Yes, there are some people that probably won't make the cut. But you know what I think? I'm going to say, Colin, especially when I look at your staff, is there are some people that probably need to be eliminated. I'm sorry to say that, but it's true. But I think, I don't think I know. Let's just do this in a smart way. I know you have a lot of people on your staff you pay a lot of money to that they probably work 1 hour a day. But I'm sorry, that's not on the AI. That's on the person, Michael. Go ahead.
But this is what I was saying before, is it comes down to a mental shift. If you want to keep your job in this environment, then you have to make a mental shift of how do you add value, not just how do you turn up. And it's all about value. If an entrepreneur looks on you and you're a senior in the part of the team with entrepreneurs business, and you're wondering whether you're going to lose your job or not because of agents and all that sort of stuff, then just ask that simple question, how do I add value? And then ask the next question, which is how do I add more value? And that's a mental change. If you do not go along and do that, then you're not going to have a job. That's just, that is absolutely going to happen.
You would agree, Michael and Michelle, it's our job to inspire them to rate up to the moment of time.
Of course.
Time.
It always, and Michael, you said it very well. I think as we're ending the show here.
We're coming to the end of the show. Yeah.
Honestly, you said it very well. We're here and we're hoping that everyone feels this. It's just, we all want to manure as a.
Hey there, Michelle. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it keeps on cutting out for me. So I didn't know whether it was a silence.
No, I was Michelle, but you cut out for.
Yeah, but. Yeah. Yes. But anyway, we're coming to the end of the show. And right now, I hate to cut you off there, Michelle. This is a show could possibly, Colin, we can come back and revisit maybe later on. But you've been listening to The Complete Entrepreneur. It's a show we run each Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a great show. We get to examine some of these topics and everything like that and try to look at what does it mean to lead the life of an entrepreneur. You got Michelle there who has a vast amount of experience running business after business, an incredibly extraordinary wealth of wisdom in her. You've got Colin, who's written the book, Start, Scale, Exit, Repeat. It's got 40 awards, this book. If you haven't read the book on entrepreneurship, go to Amazon and buy it. This is a part of startup.club. Whatever you do, go to startup.club in your browser and sign up for the newsletter. You're going to get one email a month and it's going to be absolutely phenomenal. It'll show you so many insights into the world of entrepreneurship. Just go ahead and do it. It'll be the best education you can possibly get. Startup.club. It's that simple, guys. go there. Now, if you don't want to go along, educate yourself, then don't go along and do that. But I would highly recommend it. I know I subscribe, that's for sure. But anyway, so it's been great having you here. We look forward to seeing you guys next time on The Complete Entrepreneur. And you and the audience, thank you so much. And also Pierre and everyone else will be on the stage. It's been great having you up here. You're all the reasons why we do this. So God bless you. May you have a wonderful time in your business. See you next week. Bye.